Somebody call a doctor.
They want a bigger logo. You can't handle a bigger logo.
G'day, this is the Dr. Branding Podcast. I am your branding Dr. Frank. The surgery is open for the first time, and let's answer our first patient's question. So, this comes from Jen from Australia, and she asks, I'm a designer. I've been freelancing now for a bit over 8 months, and I'm struggling to find new clients. I've had a few already, but not enough to really sustain myself without a part-time local job. How do I get more clients? Thanks, Jen, for the question. Look, what we're going to do here in terms of the Dr. Branding Podcast is we are going to diagnose the brand problem and then prescribe a solution to do better branding. So in terms of this question that Jen has asked, this is one of the most common questions you would ever see a designer ask. I see it all the time. And so this is why I did pick this question as the first episode's question for the Dr. Branding Podcast. And this is no different for any service-based business. And the diagnosis I would give to this is it's a vitamin C deficiency. Vitamin C, C being for client. And obviously we need clients to have a successful business. Without them, we don't exist. And a design business is no different to a doctor's surgery, to a real estate agent, to a plumber. We need our clients to have a successful business. So in terms of the prognosis in this case is that if you don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. People aren't going to find out about you. People aren't going to engage with you. You need to be doing something that gets on the radar of potential clients so that they think of you, so that you come to mind when they need what you have to offer. We need to be doing something to have that happening. Yeah. Now, the last time I got asked this question, how do I find clients? I asked the person, particularly in this case, wasn't Jen, but it was a person that was in India, and they said, look, how do I find clients? And I said, well, name a brand that both of us would know. Some big brand, obviously, but name a brand that you and I would both know. And he threw out the name Nike. I said, okay, great. So how did you find out about Nike in the first place? Just take a guess. And they said, well, probably a football game. I saw players wearing the Nike boots. It was on their shirt for their team. And there's probably an ad as well along the boundary or on an ad on the TV itself. I said, okay, great. Have you seen them since anywhere else? Like, have you seen a shop of theirs? Have you seen any other advertising? Have you seen their social media content? He said, yeah, yes to all those things. Absolutely. I said, okay, great. So why is your business any different? We need to create that shop front, that presence, that billboard, whatever it is, to get on people's radar so that they find out about us and then want to work with us to give them the confidence in that we are the right person for them. So we need to do what other successful businesses are obviously doing to get on the radar of them. So this doesn't mean you need to necessarily do things like knocking on doors of every business just to get business, just to drum up the next client. You certainly can, but there is other ways to do this. And so I guess the prescription I would give you is quite a few points here. But I would say to start, at least if you haven't already, you start with your shop front. And this doesn't mean you need to have a studio where people can walk past, you need to have signage, all the rest of it. Maybe you do. But I don't see that being something that you really need to do as a designer. You can work as long as you have an internet connection and a digital presence, that can be enough. So that starts with something like a website, a professional, clear website that says who you are, what you offer, how you do what you do, what you've done in the past, and maybe some testimonials that really back up the fact that you were somebody that's really helped an existing client. Like Jen has said, she's had clients already. What can we do to help get more clients? It might be reaching out to those existing clients and seeing if they need more further help or if there's anyone else in their network. That's always a very good go-to bread and butter move to get back in contact with those that you've previously worked with, or continue working with them as a sustainable retainer potentially to keep you on their services. To keep offering your services to them to keep their business rolling, and making sure that maybe their branding is being maintained or their website's being maintained, their app, whatever it might be. So that's one way of going about it, is first just creating that website, reaching out to existing clients. But then there's another thing of that promotion aspect, that getting in front of people to get their attention. And that is creating something like social media content. You could be making a podcast as well like this, or you could be doing writing articles on Medium or have a blog, whatever it might be, to create a presence where people can find out about you. Because SEO is really hard with something like a website to really stand out as a designer, especially as a one-person operation, rather than a big agency that has a lot of cred going on, years of experience. They've been around quite a while. So if you're new to the game, what we need to do is create this social presence that can get in front of people. And that can be very achievable on things like Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Threads, TikTok, all these places where you can get in front of new audiences globally, not just locally. Think a bit bigger than just your town, because potentially you'll hit a ceiling of who you can reach in your location. So we want to go a little bit bigger. It might be nationally. It might be just in your state or the wider city that you're in. But we want to create a presence at least that people can find you without you having to go and knock on doors, because that might not be the best use of your time. We want to do this at scale, and it might be a mix of things. Just to put that out there, it might not just be one thing. It's got to be a mix of a few of these things at least. Excuse me. But we want to effectively use that social media content or any other content that you might make on different online platforms to help educate somebody that you are the right service provider for them, that your services will help make a difference in their business, and that what you have offered and what you can offer is of use to them. It does look good. The end results that you've made in the past are very effective. It just needs to be out there, because if no one's seeing it, then, well, you're not going to be relevant. And what we want to do there is building to something called mental availability and physical availability. So mental availability is you coming to mind as a service provider for the thing that you offer, say it's logo design, branding, website design, whatever it might be, and then being physically available. So on social media, constantly showing up, having a website that shows up with constant blog content or any other kind of lead magnet offers that might have a newsletter attached to it. People subscribe to that, and you keep being involved in their space, being physically available, so that your potential client or anyone in your network that does engage with what you put out there thinks of you when necessary. And this is that little bit of a dovetail into creating a network of either business owners or other creative partners that might do what you do, and you might partner with them to have a better offering rather than just you being a logo designer and someone else might be a strategist or a copywriter. You bring your resources together to create something that is more valuable. But in terms of the networking with a business owner or businesses in general, is that it's not exactly knocking on the door of somebody. What we want to do is engage with what they put out there with no false pretenses, no ulterior motive, not wasting someone's time as well. So we don't want to just launch into their DMs and saying, hey, how you going? And that be that, because it's like, well, what do you want? That's what the end person is thinking when you send a message like that. So what we want to do instead is engage with what they put out there, because when you put something out there like a social media post, you hope for people to engage back with you, to like what you offer and say that was a really great post, or I really like what you said there, I really align with that. That's what you would do with other business owners. And this is what Gary Vee used to preach a lot, I think it was like his $20 rule or something like that, where you just give your 2 cents on so many posts in a day, and that's part of your marketing to put yourself out there and build a network with people. It might not mean everybody gets involved and engages back. That's okay. But if you keep showing up in these places that you think you could potentially help in the long tail, fantastic. So what we want to do is create that network where somebody does think of you down the track, because here's the hard hard reality, especially in service-based businesses, is that about 97% of people that are in the market seeing what you have to offer, seeing your presence out there, don't need what you have to offer. So there's only 3% in the market that do need what you have to offer, and that's who we're trying to hit, but you're never going to know who those people are. So what we want to do is be present so that when that 97% becomes a 3%, those people that do find you and don't need you, but then maybe in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, I've had people knock on the door 2 years after being following me and engage with me and say, Frank, can you help me with our brand? I've been following you now for 2 years. You never know who's kind of watching. So if you stay present, they will come back to you and they'll think of you if you keep staying on their radar. So this is creating that network of a business where you've been engaging with them, or they might have been engaging with you, and you're just constantly showing up. You're staying physically and mentally available. Now, the other one I did touch on quickly there before was creating a network with other creatives or others that complement what you have to offer. This could be a website designer. This could be a branding person. This could be a copywriter. This could be a UX UI designer, an app designer, a developer. It could be a printer. It could be a signage place that you could engage with to reach out and offer your services to complement theirs. If they ever have a client that comes to them and say, hey, our client has said that they need a new logo. We're doing their signage. We don't have somebody in-house that's really proficient at this. We know what you do. Here's some work. And then it's vice versa. When you have a client that needs some signage, you refer this particular creative partner as the preferred service provider, and it's a win-win for both of you. This is a great networking technique to offer complementary services that is a win-win for both businesses, yeah? But this is where I guess you can do that door knocking. I'll bring it back to that door knocking part that I did mention earlier. And if you do door knock, this is something my good mate Shane would always do when he lived here in Australia. He's now in the US, but he would always door knock on businesses more local to him to offer some kind of small lead-in offering, something that's a low barrier to entry without a huge commitment of tens of thousands of dollars. And it might have been something as simple as a business card, or saying, hey, I just noticed your sign out the front there was getting a bit old there. I do help people with signage. I'm just wondering if you might need some help with that. I can facilitate it for this kind of cost. Are you interested at all? They might say yes or no, and then he'll say, oh, can I just take a card maybe, and I might follow up with you in a few months. If you're interested, I'll give you a call if that's okay. They might say, I don't have a business card. Oh, would you like me to help you with your business card? And there's that first little lead in to see who you are, what you can do, and that might dovetail into more work in the future where they think of you for a design need, and you become that preferred person that they give out all their work to. So that's a really great way of that quick lead in of door knocking, rather than just saying, hi, I'm a logo designer. My fee is $10,000 and do you need a new logo? Because that's quite offensive sometimes to people, depending on what offering you do have, to say, oh, is our logo not good, or is our website not good? Just things like that you need to kind of be careful of in terms of how you communicate your offering if you do go down that door knocking approach. And that can be digital as well, where you slide into the DMs of somebody and say, hey, I offer these services, just the same as knocking on someone's business's door or giving them a phone call. So that's something to be mindful of. I would say, just to recap in terms of this prescription, is to start by building your digital shop front. It can get physical with all the different touch points that you might have so that someone does remember you. It could be a little keepsake that you send to existing clients, like a mug or a shirt or a hat or something like that keeps you top of mind, some little gift that makes you memorable. But then it's having this network, be it a business network or a creative network, to have referrals come to you when the time is right, and then be a mutually beneficial offering that you might be able to offer your services or recommend their business to somebody else in your network. And then door knock. Again, the last point there, if you need those sales now more immediately, I fully understand that sales do need to take priority when you're starting out, because without sales, you don't have a business. But the long tail is that you want to have people be attracted to you, for people to find you, and that takes some time and consistency to build that mental and physical availability. So with that, I really hope that helps you there, Jen. Thanks again for your question. And for those of you listening, I do hope that helps you too, if you're in a similar position. Now, please take a piece of brand candy, my free resource guide to do better branding that you can get on your way out at g'dayfrank.com/candy. You can also make an appointment via that link if you have a brand related ailment that you'd like some help with. And I'll see you at the next appointment in my next episode. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening. The surgery is now closed. The Dr. Branding podcast is hosted by Reagan Frank McCrill, that's me, and for legal reasons I want to be clear that I am not a registered or qualified doctor. The premise for this podcast is that it is a satirical analogy for branding consultancy to help others with their brand success. This podcast is also sponsored by my branding business, G'day Frank. Say g'day today by booking a call with me at g'dayfrank.com.